Spooky season has now officially begun. October 13th, Friday the 13th, we get our brand new rebooted Goosebumps series on Disney Plus. The first 5 episodes out of 10 for this series on Disney Plus today. And, I gotta say, overall, I definitely have mixed thoughts on this. There are certain parts that I really loved, other parts that maybe not so much. But it's definitely better than I thought it would be. Because going into this, I love Goosebumps. I grew up on Goosebumps. Now, I didn't grow up watching the 90s series because I wasn't alive in the 90s. But I remember my first exposure to Goosebumps was in fourth grade. I started fourth grade, and our classroom had a ginormous Goosebumps collection. And as a kid, I always loved like monsters and ghosts and stuff. So when I saw that, I became super obsessed with Goosebumps books, and I got my own private collection of books as well. And I know a lot of people actually hate the movies. The first one, I actually really love. I love the first Goosebumps movie. The second one, Haunted Halloween or whatever it's called, it's all right, but I don't like that, it's supposed to be a sequel, but like they use completely different characters. I'm not a fan of that one, but the first one I really love. I have gone back and I have seen some of the episodes of the original 90s series, so I just have an overall love for the Goosebumps franchise. But when Disney Plus said they were making a Goosebumps series, I was extremely concerned because Disney and Goosebumps is not something I really see going hand in hand, especially when you see how some of these other Disney Plus series have played out, not particularly well. I was really concerned with this, and again, just Disney and Goosebumps, I didn't think worked because I was like, oh great, they're gonna make this for kids, they're gonna make it super cringy, they're gonna make it, super Disneyfied and all this stuff, but I have to say, after watching these 5 episodes, this is even more adult than the PG-13 movies were, which is kind of weird. Like, there's swearing in here, there's inappropriate jokes. You have a gay character in here, which, oh no, woke police. I have already seen so many people that are upset about that. Like, oh my gosh, the wokeness is poisoning my children. Like, no. So this show is interesting though because of course the 90s series, it was an anthology series. Every episode was its own entity. It had its own characters where it tackled a storyline from one of the books. Now, this series, it does of course adapt storylines and characters from the books, but it also has an overarching story. So we have an overarching story where basically all of these kind of like Goosebumps objects and artifacts, these haunted artifacts from this one haunted house, are terrorizing these kids' lives. And so the first couple episodes we get to explore each of those, and each episode is named after a different book. And especially the first episode, I really fell in love with this show. Say Cheese and Die. I haven't read the book myself, but I love this episode. This was a fantastic episode. Honestly, after watching this first episode, I was like, oh my god, this might be like one of my favorite shows of the year. Second episode, The Haunted Mask, very different design than it is in the books and every other form of media for The Haunted Mask. But it didn't bother me too much. I mean, that episode was great as well. But after that was just when it started to go downhill. I mean, to be fair, Cuckoo Clock of Doom and Go Eat Worms, I also haven't read either of those books, but I'm just not really a huge fan of those concepts in general. And so the episodes focused on those storylines, they didn't really keep me interested. And also those episodes put a big focus on this kind of overarching story, which, I mean, this isn't spoilers because this is all in the synopsis and in the trailers, but basically it's like everything is connected back to these kids' parents and something really bad that they did when they were kids, when they were in high school. And it just kind of reminds me of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which, I mean, some of you may think that's an insult if you haven't seen Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated because, oh, I'm comparing it to a Scooby-Doo show. Scooby-Doo is fantastic, particularly Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Probably the best Scooby-Doo series because you actually have an overarching story in that show. It's very adult, or at least as adult as a kid's cartoon can be. Um, just really a fantastic show, and there was a big theme in that series about all of the Scooby Gang's parents having a history together when they were in high school, and now they're kids. They have to kind of deal with the sins of the father type thing. So that adds an interesting plot element here in this series. But so far, it hasn't garnered a huge interest from me in that portion of it particularly. I think, we got these first 5 episodes. It was a nice introduction to the show. But next week in episode 6, it's Night of the Living Dummy. So we're finally getting Slappy. Slappy, of course, is like the face of Goosebumps at this point. I've loved him in the movies and, of course, the original 90s series. And I love the design for Slappy in this series. We've seen first look images. He didn't appear in the first 5 episodes, but clearly, based off the title of the next episode, Slappy will be a focus. And he's been hinted at, and there's been some setup and build up for him in these last few episodes. So I'm really interested and excited to see that and how that is played out, how they adapt his story and his character. Justin Long is fantastic. Really, the whole cast overall. I mean, obviously, some people have been kind of comparing it to Riverdale. And I mean, to be fair, you do have kind of like the teen high school CW type drama with all the romance and love triangles, but I mean, you also have like love affairs, like actual affairs with the adults and stuff, which was weird. But again, it's just not something I expected for a Disney Plus Goosebumps. But the series is also streaming on Hulu as well, so I guess there's that. But yeah, overall, I mean, like, I started out really, really loving it, and then as the episodes go on, I started liking it less and less. But I'm still going to continue to watch it. I still have faith that this can be a good show, and I think when Slappy comes in next week, this could be a really fantastic series. So we will see. But I would say, for the first 5 episodes, I'd give it maybe a 7 out of 10. It's not bad. I liked it, but I didn't love it, except for that first and second episode. Those were amazing. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you check out Goosebumps on Disney Plus? What are your thoughts so far? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And are you going to continue watching? Where do you think things are going to go from here? Again, we got the first 5 episodes. It's a 10 episode season, which is weird because now like the show won't end until like halfway through November. So there's that. But I mean, at least up until Halloween, we'll get a couple more episodes. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the movie life.